Hi, and welcome to another episode of Aussie Ideas Man. I'm going to try something a little quicker and easier this time. Last time I made a video, I had a sore throat, and I was in a hurry to get something out about the big gamma reveal, and it had already been about a week since the reveal before I had the opportunity. So I made the video without doing much talking and put in a lot of text boxes. Well, this time I want to make a video, but I've just been on a camping trip with the family. At the end, I might append some of the uh, pictures and videos that I took of the camping trip. I know a lot of you fanboys don't believe anything I say, so I'll provide a little bit of proof. If you get to the end, you'll see a little bit of the Australian bush. But anyway, I was going to do another evaluation of the gamma using a video by the Aptera Owners Club, but then I decided I'd use another video that came a little later. So this one's going to go before the other one if I get around to doing that. I've got some spare time on my hand in the next week or so, so I'll probably do both. But this one, I'm just going to make comments as I go and see if I can do it properly. Here we go. This time I've just got a few notes here simply because there weren't many, and it's about me having to take note. So you can see there I put note taken. Pity nobody will see this. That's because AOC banned me from making those comments. You should not see them if you look at your computer, only me.
Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. In this video, we're going to go over the things that we learned during the gamma reveal. So number one, the gamma vehicle is a production ready vehicle that's 80% production ready. So it has a full battery and it is full speed, has working solar and working skin cooling. So they are using...
Okay, the first thing I'm going to say is we don't know how big that full battery is. Nobody's proven it. But the other thing is we don't know that the solar works for the first time, but it's an admission of guilt that every time they pointed to the solar on an Alpha, there was no solar there. It was all fake. Now they've, by saying this is the first one with working solar, even though they haven't proven it, they have admitted that they were lying when they said the Alphas had solar on them. But Steve starts by saying that this 80% ready gamma will be used for testing. And that's the crux of the issue I have. And the reason why I made this video is because it's been over 3 weeks now and it has not been used for testing. Aptera Motors has not made any video showing that there's been testing done on it.
The gamma vehicle to validate their efficiency claims and to validate all their systems on a working vehicle. So they have a solar mule, they have a cooling mule. So they've tested it on mules, but this is the first time they've integrated everything into one vehicle, and they are going to be testing it on the gamma vehicle.
First 3 weeks, so no testing.
Very exciting. So number two, we had a lot of questions about the cooling system on the Aptera. We wondered, we know that this cooling is in the belly pan, and there were a lot of questions about, like, what if it's DC fast charging on a hot day over black pavement and it's not moving and there's no air movement underneath the car? Or what if you're in traffic on a hot day and using the AC system, is it going to overheat because there's no air movement under the belly plate? Well, as it turns out, there's a fan for air movement across the cooling plate. So the normal way when the car is moving, the air will move underneath the belly pan and dissipate the heat through the belly pan's cooling. However, if you're going under 15 miles per hour or stationary, there is a fan that will pull air from underneath the cowl down over the belly pan cooling pan. So this airflow will be internal above. So usually the airflow is below the belly pan on the exterior of the vehicle. This airflow will be inside the vehicle and will vent through the back through these holes in the back. And so
the problem with this is you cannot get a fan by rerouting air through the cowl around the legs of the driver and passenger and then over the battery pack. There is no place for a fan to do that. If you have a fan behind a radiator, it takes up the whole surface area of the radiator minus the corners. So the fan can work, but there is no way in the world that they can have air vents coming out of the cowl and over the battery pack and have any sort of fan to suck air through there.
if you want to know more about that, there is Aptera skin cooling system explained by Daniel. Daniel, their chief engineer for the cooling system.
Daniel has given a third different explanation of the cooling system, and it's still rubbish.
Basically walks us through the cooling system. And number 3, there are 3 cooling circuits. There's a hot cooling circuit that runs the powertrain, so the inverters and the motors, and that will handle temperatures up to 85 degrees Celsius.
When Aptera gave the first cartoon of the cooling system, it gave 1, and it was ridiculous. When Daniel showed Steve a test bed of the TMS, the thermal management system, he showed 1 system. He made no mention of 2 others. And that 1 system that he showed was so half-baked that it wouldn't work. If you watch this AOC video about Daniel explaining it at the Fully Charged Live event, you'll find that it is absolutely ridiculous and only a gullible fool would believe Daniel.
And then there is a battery management cooling system that goes up to 60 degrees Celsius. And then there's a third circuit for the HVAC. And when it's a very hot day, it will use the HVAC itself to cool the cooling system. So they have it all figured out.
A point I forgot to make was that earlier on they claimed when Aptera was stationary or even going slow that it used so little power that it didn't need cooling. Now this claim that under 15 miles per hour and stationary needs a fan sucking air through a cowl in the front is contradictory to their first claim that it uses so little power that it won't get hot.
Okay, so number 4, Alafe has a new custom motor for the Aptera. It's a motor specifically designed for the Aptera. Before, we had seen the previous alpha and beta models using this M700 motor that Alafe has made, but they have made this motor, which is a custom motor.
This is also different from what Chris Anthony was saying in older videos, where he said Alafe will provide the motors and they will customize them to suit the silly trike.
And it is supposed to be better. I don't know how it's better. Is it like more efficient, or is it lighter? Is it more powerful? I'm guessing it's more efficient, but we don't have specifics on it yet. They haven't told us specifics. All we know that it is a motor that's specifically made for the Aptera. And
we don't know the specifics of anything. Every claim Aptera has ever made has never been verified. It is just pie-in-the-sky claims that the fanboys swallow without any evidence whatsoever.
All right, so number 5, the Aptera we've always been told that it's 88 inches wide. When I went and measured the gamma, it is 85 inches. Now, some people said, "Oh, it's probably the width when the wheels are turned." Well, if the wheels are turned, it's way wider than 88 inches. These wheel pants are huge, so if you turn them, you're gonna get it's wider than 88 inches. But if they're straight on, it's 85 inches from the widest part to the widest part. So that was interesting.
If they can't get the width correct and are out by 3 inches, heaven help them get the whole vehicle correct.
Number 7, the wheel cover clearance is currently 3.5 inches. And I talked to Charles. He's the guy in charge of the wheel covers. And he says that is in flux, and they're still deciding. They're going to be using this gamma and driving it all over the place and deciding, is this too low or too high? It's probably a little too low, but they're going to adjust it based on their experience. Then number 8.
Just before he does number 8, AOC has just put out a video showing that these heights change when you turn the wheels. So it's 3.5 inches dropping down to about 0.5 as you turn them. They have a very difficult problem with just keeping them level and high enough off the road.
The front and back of these wheel covers are made of EVA foam, which is what Daniel's holding here. And if you want to find out more about what he's saying, you can go to this video on our channel. The Gamma vehicle, actually, this is not EVA foam on the vehicle. I touched it. It's plastic, just like it's some kind of composite or plastic material. But
it's pretty strange when they say that they're going to do EVA material before they build the Gamma and then put a hard plastic on it. The other thing is, the idea is ridiculous. Make something so that it'll rub off on the road. Absolute stupidity.
In the production vehicle, it will be EVA foam. That way, they expect the EVA, the front and back, to abrade a little bit during use. Okay, number 9, the HVAC unit vents come from around the screen. They plan on offering a third seat, as was...
Getting back to the HVAC around the screen, not a good idea. Anything that increases the screen area is a bad idea. You should always have the screen itself going as close as possible to the extreme of the screen area. To add width for ventilation just makes the whole thing bigger, yet your screen size stays small. What you need to do is cover the whole area of the screen, then use vents in the dash where vents can be easily used and have been for over 100 years.
Said by Chris Anthony during this reveal, during the question and answer session. Obviously,
third seat planned is just a pander to the requests of people. They plan things because I believe they just want to bring in the money. That's all it is. I don't think they ever have any actual planning for a third seat. It's just talk.
That's a plan. Chris said it, so I think it's planned to have a third seat. I would personally love a third seat.
If Chris said it, doesn't mean a thing.
Number 11, they plan on offering external solar. Now, there's a company called EV Solar Kits that makes these for like Model 3s and Model Ys.
Once again, this is just silly stuff, and it's stuff they announce so that they can bring in the money. There's nothing behind it.
Number 12, interior materials are not finalized. So I talked to Jamie, who is one of the designers at Aptera, and he said what's very important is that they are looking for materials that are comfortable, durable, and sustainable.
Jamie's a palaverer too. The important thing to note here is that people have been trying to push that center console lid up, and the whole center console itself falls over. The lid is actually zipped closed. Now, if you're driving the thing, the last thing you want to do, if you're reaching for something in the center console, is to unzip it.
Okay, so number 13, there are going to be towing points and jacking points. And if you want to hear more about that, there's a video like this. But basically, they're going to put what sounds like, I mean, they didn't confirm it, but from the way they said it, I suspect that this is the case. They're going to have like little ports underneath here, probably in front of the rear wheel for jacking up the rear wheel. You take this EVA foam off, and there'll be like a recess here that you can screw in a jacking point. So you screw in this like metal plate or something, and then you can put the jack underneath that and jack the back of the
Jacking points that you screw in are a first for anything. Most vehicles, if you read the owner's manual, will tell you where to stick the jack, and you don't do anything other than that. This is supposed to be the most efficient vehicle, yet you can't even jack it up without having to prep it. That's inefficient.
All right, so they have a lot of things that are planned, and they are thinking about them. These solar panels are a 7-layer encapsulated system. I didn't find a solar encapsulation engineer to ask them about what the encapsulation materials are, and I kind of doubt that they tell me, because I think this is one of the things they're trying to get a patent on, so they're not going to tell us exactly what the materials are. But they've worked hard on making this a robust system. Hopefully our Apteras never have to survive softball-sized hail. That would be kind of crazy.
These solar panels are off the roof with a gap in between them. They have some sort of mounting system. The fake solar panels on the Aptera Alphas were in the roof, and so they could get that great CD. But once you leave a gap so that you got almost like another board above your roof, your drag coefficient is going to go down dramatically. And that extra board that holds the panels is actually taped up. Somebody said that was tape on the external area. Another person argued that it was some sort of rubber surround. But in either case, it's not good enough.
All right, number 16. Solar panels are a separate assembly. So one of the things when I first looked at the Aptera and I saw the cosmetic solar cells that were in the alpha, they were like kind of glued into the body.
I got ahead of myself on that one. Should have said what I said last time now.
And they said that the solar panels would be replaceable and upgradable. And I was wondering, how in the world are you going to replace or upgrade these solar panels that are basically glued into the composite body? Well, now I understand how it's going to work. There is this 7-layer encapsulated module, and you can see here it's about, 4 or 5 millimeters, maybe 5 or 6 millimeters thick. This whole assembly can come off and be replaced. They are not integrated into the body. 17, there is well over 7 feet of space in the back. There is going to be dual front airbags. Now, so on the passenger side and the driver's side, they're going to be that little squared recess area in the front is going to be, let's see right here. This square area right here is going to be where the airbag is. I asked them about side airbags. There are no side airbags currently. Aptera has a silicon carbide inverter. Now, this is the inverter. What the inverters do is they take the DC current from the battery and turn it into AC current to work the AC drive motors.
In a previous AOC, that's Aptera Owners Club, for those that can't figure it out. In that previous AOC video, Steve was saying that the inverters did something to the coolant. At least he's got it right this time.
There's one inverter for every wheel. They are silicon carbide, which are much more efficient than the previous inverters that were in the alpha and the beta. There is a ton of software that's needed to make this solar panels work in a vehicle. So, I mean, when I talked to the engineer that was in charge of that, I realized that there's a lot of stuff that they're thinking about that I hadn't even considered. It's like problems that you wouldn't think about that occur when you put solar panels on a vehicle. Okay, number 21. The assembly line and manufacturing system has been planned out. Monroe and Associates has helped them do this, and they have a schematic and they know exactly what's going to happen at every station. This was shown in the factory tour.
That factory tour is showing this, which is all computer rendering. That factory floor is still empty. There's nothing happening. Aptera like to computer generate everything. They turn everything that is not real into some sort of virtual reality. But the fact remains, there's nothing there. There is absolutely nothing there. There's something like 12 weeks left till they're supposed to have built the Delta. Initially, they said that they would have sold a production-ready vehicle by the end of the year, but that's changed now. They're just pretending that they can build a production-ready vehicle by the end of the year. They certainly won't have a production plant inside that factory, nor will they have the supplies available to run the plant.
There are windshield wipers, of course. We knew that. Of course, it has to have a windshield wiper, and it's probably going to be carbon fiber. The battery packs are going to use copper interconnects, and that's different because most of these interconnects, bus bars, are aluminum, and copper, I believe, makes it a little bit heavier and a little bit more expensive, but the conductivity is better, so it'll be more efficient. So Aptera's decided to go pay a little more, penalty in cost and weight, probably very minimal differences, but for better efficiency. So instead of aluminum, they're using copper bus bars.
That looks like a picture of the copper. There's no actual proof that that's in the gamma.
Other thing we figured out is that in the bigger battery packs, the 66 kilowatt hour and the 99 kilowatt hour battery packs, they aren't using the same cells. They're not planning to use the 2170 cells. They're planning on using bigger cells. He didn't specify which bigger cells it is. I don't know if it's the Tesla's 4680 cells or something else. It does look like their cell. They're not going to use pouches, so it doesn't look like they're going to use like the Blade battery from KATL. Doesn't seem like it. They're sticking to the cell architecture, but they had no further details on that. And lastly, we found out that Sandy Monroe is very bullish on Aptera. He's personally invested quite a bit of his own money into them, and he believes they're going to be big. So
We don't know how much Sandy Munro has invested, and Sandy Munro is all talk, no action. I'm pretty sure it will amount to nothing. Now, as this has come to a close, I just want to emphasize the fact that this gamma was supposed to prove all of the performance claims, or many of the performance claims. I won't say all, but it was supposed to prove many of the performance claims that they've made. Performance claims that have never been proven on alphas or beta to date. This was supposed to prove it. Now, in 3 weeks since this gamma has come out, we have had nothing except some strange guy photographed a gamma going around one corner. This is an interesting thing because I had been saying that there has been nothing about gamma being tested for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden we get a snippet of a gamma on a drive. It wasn't being tested because you don't test it with the media staff in it, and you test it with lots of visible people around the outside doing tests. All this was a little walking pace corner. The other thing is, I think it was staged. I think the person who accidentally filmed it going around the corner was set up to film it going around the corner, and that's why he didn't film it going any further. The other thing is, the big truck in the background looks like the rental truck that they took it out of, which is a bit odd because that silly guy Hennessy or somebody, Hessany or I don't know, at the Fully Charged live event said that how he had to modify the truck that carted the gamma to the Fully Charged event. The truck that was in the background was a rental truck, so what are they doing modifying a rental truck? Nothing adds up. Everything looks suspicious. Well, I want to get this out pretty fast, so I'll just add my pictures of the Queensland bush and not worry too much about text boxes this time.
No, that's right. So the people that really want it would let it out. Evie! And you're right. You have to do
This is zooming in on a sunset, lighting the fire for the night. Firewood, fire. Don't get in front. Don't get in front. Don't want to. Not allowed to have children on YouTube.
What? Here you are.
No, you're not. I know.
What do you mean you're not allowed to have children on YouTube?
This is the starting the fire for the night. Going back and back to the view. Fire's starting to get going. This thing will burn beautifully tonight.
It's a fire.
That's all from me. Bye for now.